Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is 214, according to the lower third we have down there. Is recorded on August the 15th, 2012. I'm Ryan Schrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And we have another week of tech news to talk about. Ken is at the board doing a fine job. We got the lower thirds all figured out. Everybody's audio and video seems to be working correctly. All good things. If maybe you missed last week and you're on audio only, just a quick reminder, we have moved. We're recording now completely, solely at the PC Perspective offices, and you can watch us stream at pcper.com/live. If you go there right now, well, no, you can't. If you're already there, you're here. If you're listening to it tomorrow, don't go there now. We won't be there, probably. I don't know. But pcper.com/live is the place to go. Let me do a quick spot check. There's a couple hundred people hovering around. We've got our chat room there as well. So come hang out and talk with us as we beat around the bush, so to speak, on PC hardware. Actually, that's not the right term. Josh, don't answer anything. So
No, won't.
We'll move
Not
on.
this time.
So let's talk about some stuff. Let's jump right into things. First things first. AMD released, we have a lot of video cards to talk about this week.
One or two.
Three. The first one we're going to talk about is the AMD Radeon HD 7950. And you're thinking, well, Ryan, that card's been out for a while. You dumbass, move on. And I'm like, well, actually, this has a new BIOS applied to it. And it basically, here's what it does. It raises the clock speed from 800 to 850 megahertz, but it also introduces boost technology. So remember the 7970 gigahertz edition came out. It had higher clock speeds and a 50 megahertz boost capability. Same way as what the NVIDIA card did. Works a little bit differently, same idea. So the 7950B, or 7950 with boost, can go from 850 up to 925. And what's just interesting about that is it's 75 megahertz, it's a little bit further. And actually, let me go here and I can show you some of our review. If we switch over to this, you'll see that it's pretty straightforward in terms of what you get with this. Oop, wrong button there. Same card. So what happened was NVIDIA or AMD actually sent us just a new BIOS. They said, hey, flash this to your 7950. Here's the new features you're going to get. And they kind of said, you can see in the GPU screenshot there, it shows the GPU clock of 925. They still have not implemented software so you can monitor the frequency very well. And that's why you see on this graph that you have these very discrete jumps from 850 to 925. Well, that's not really what's happening according to AMD. Basically, as soon as it goes above 850, GPU-Z only sees it as 925. But there are apparently many steps between that. It's kind of It kind of sucks that we haven't been able to have software that can actually show us that yet. They promised that. They promised us that with this 7970 gigahertz edition, and we never got it. They came here and did the video for it, and even did live broadcast, and they promised it. We still haven't seen that yet either. It also took a long time to get the 7970 gigahertz editions out for sale. Before I get into the thing that really pisses me off about it, I'll tell you a little bit about how the performance operates. So if we look at Battlefield 3, this game shows pretty decent performance increases. You're going from 52 to 56 frames per second at 1080p, a little bit of difference there at 2560. Look at Skyrim, and you're seeing kind of 80 to 85, 57 to 61. So you're seeing some pretty, I would say, modest performance gains. If you look at that original graph, the reason this is obviously the case is it's not going into the boost state as often as maybe NVIDIA's cards go into the boost state, and that could be because of thermal limits, that could be because of programming and coding and all that kind of stuff. But it's doing something, just not a whole lot. So if we go back to the first page, you get into some of the issues. So you'll see here there's a link to the Tahiti Pro Boost BIOS, ironically dated July 12th, so this apparently has been around for a while. You can download this BIOS. It's an executable that you, executable, which however you want to pronounce it, that you save to your computer, you plug your 7950 in, you make sure the switch on top is set to the position 1, which is the writable BIOS. Position 2 is the read-only, so you wouldn't be able to do that anyway. and you can flash the BIOS, and hopefully you'll get these clocks, or you might not be able to post, in which case you flip the switch back to 2 and you move about your business. So here's where the crap comes in. There are a lot of people online complaining about this release. It's very obvious that the 7950 boost was pushed out the door very quickly, without a lot of testing, without a whole lot of thought, probably, to combat the 660 Ti, which will be coming out this week. Hint, hint, we're doing a video stream tomorrow afternoon. Pay attention. So we get that, and this kind of stuff happens all the time. I mean, you guys already know this, both listening and on the podcast, that these guys lower prices, they release new products, they come up with new SKUs, all that kind of stuff, you know, to combat what's going on in other places, or from the competitor. Josh, any particular instances of this stand out to you?
Of them raising, dropping prices,
or releasing a new
something
SKU,
like
or
that.
doing anything like that?
For AMD, not so much right now, but
Right.
you look at the partners, and they're being pretty aggressive on that. MSI has their Hawk card, they have their OC cards, and,
No,
and
I'm
all the
even-
other guys are doing the same thing like that.
Yeah.
And they're dropping the prices on these. So I mean, you can get after rebate 7950 for $324. Still got the 3 gig of frame buffer. The 7870s are going to be dropping like flies down to 250 and
Sure.
below. I wouldn't doubt.
No, I'm more
And-
talking about like past generations. This has happened before.
Oh yes, you mean like a 9800 Pro when they finally released the oh gosh, what was the card?
From
The FX 5900 series that they released the 9800 XT, which was just slightly clocked
Yep.
higher, and you've got the same thing with NVIDIA and doing the
Yeah.
same kind of garbage. But it seems like NVIDIA doesn't do the megahertz iterations that AMD has been known for in the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But you get the price cuts. You get the 2 days before new driver releases. All this same type of stuff. It's fairly common. But there are a lot of people kind of bitching online, reviewers, not actual users and buyers and gamers, but reviewers bitching about, oh, this is I think somebody called it an all-time low for the hardware market.
It's a travesty.
And it just blows my mind, because the reason they're mad is that rather than release a new SKU, say AMD had shipped us all new cards, 15 people, 20 people in the US, reviewers, and said, here's the brand new Radeon HD 7960, 3 gigabyte. It's got boost capability, and it's got higher clock speeds than the previous one, otherwise it's all the same. And I think if that had happened, people would have been like, oh, it's these guys up to their same old tricks, whatever. It's going to be the same price, great, new option for gamers. It kind of adds a little bit of confusion, but, whatever, we move on. But because rather than do that, rather than ship us a new product, they shipped reviewers a firmware, a BIOS, and they said, here, just flash this, retest it. The 7950 boost is going to be sold in retailers, they say, starting this week. We'll see if they actually come through with that, but it's going to be shipping as a different product. It's going to be called the 7950 still, but there's going to be boost in the name, there's going to be boost in the feature, something like that. And they shipped it simply as a BIOS upgrade, just because it was easier for us. We already had the hardware, they didn't have to do the expenses. And while they're not releasing, so they're doing that. And then the reason people are complaining is that, like, well, they're not releasing this BIOS to everybody that owns a 7950 already. So they're screwing over people that already have 7950s. Well, guess what, guys? That happens every time a new product is released. Every time another generation comes out. Every time there's a price cut. When somebody bought a 7950 at $450 and now you can get them for $350, how is that any different or better or worse than what they did with this? Well, we're going to release a new BIOS. We can't validate it on all the past stuff. We can only validate it going forward. Great. That's what overclock SKUs are. They release all the reference cards, and then maybe a month later they would release parts that have overclocked frequencies. Add-in partners do this. They don't say, oh, don't worry, we can apply these clock speeds to your reference cards, and nobody seems to throw a fit about that. So I don't understand. Like, I understand that it's annoying. You have to redo testing. I understand that it's annoying that there's going to be confusion in the market, because if I go out and buy a 7950 next week, and I'm like, oh yeah, I actually want the one with the boost stuff in there, will I be able to easily find whether or not it has boost or if it doesn't? That's up to the retailers, and that's up to the add-in card vendors to make sure that is pinpointed, right? It's kind of crappy, but it's not the end of the world like some of these these authors and these stories are kind of making it out to be. I don't know. It's really frustrating to me because, and this maybe goes behind the curtain a little bit too much, to see people on the inside of the other company at NVIDIA like promoting these stories that are chastising AMD, like, oh, look at the great writing of so-and-so, what a great article, or finally somebody had the balls to say this, which is essentially a jab at me because I did not say that. I didn't have the guts to come out and call AMD out on this because it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Because you have no testicles.
None. Yeah, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world of reviewing of PC hardware. Because I didn't say that, I'm gutless. And it really pisses me off when they do that. So I invited a couple people on the show tonight that had differing opinions to me, that people that thought this was a really bad thing. Nobody wanted to come on. But I don't know. Just leave it open for a quick discussion for you guys. If you have any other thoughts, maybe something that I'm missing, maybe something from the end user's perspective where this is really bad. I get the feeling...
it's horrible giving me a free upgrade. How could you possibly think that I would want a free upgrade on a card which the vast majority of manufacturers right now sell dual BIOS cards? So you flash it doesn't work and kills the card, flick. Okay, I'm back to default again and I can flash it back to a normal BIOS. So there's no risk, no cost, but hey, I may have a better video card. Oh, this is
because
horrible.
I know you are still bitter about upgrading your 6950 to a 6970 last year.
Yep.
That just made you so angry.
I couldn't believe that they gave me a free upgrade like that.
And I understand that some people are going to be like, well, it didn't work on my card, and that sucks. Yeah, well, you know what? You bought the card that you paid for the specs that you paid for. New cards were going to come out. You knew new cards were going to come out. You knew prices were going to go down. You knew things were going to change. That's how PCs work. That's how the PC market works. You know, Tomorrow there's going to be a brand new GPU from NVIDIA. It's going to have good performance. It's going to be less expensive than the last one, and you might be thinking, man, I only needed that card. I just spent $100 more on a 670. That sucks. Well, if your return policy doesn't fix that, who's screwing you over on that, right? Is NVIDIA screwing you over because they held this card back for 3 or 4 extra months and didn't show you all the specifications up front? I don't get it, you know? You know, somebody saying in the chat room, Knight Rider says, pressure your AIC to patch the BIOS. You can do that. I don't think they will. You can attempt to. You can send them emails. But like Jeremy said, there's you just get to try it. Like AMD didn't put the BIOS on their website. You can go to PCPro.com, look up our 7950 boost story, and you can download it from us. I put it up there. And if you try it and it doesn't work, sorry, but you still got what you paid for. If you tried and it does work, great. You got more than you paid for, and all you had to do was spend 600 kilobytes of download time, right? It aggravates me to no end that people get super pissed off about this, when in reality what they're probably pissed off about is the fact that they have to redo testing, right? They had just redone 7950 testing. Here comes a new BIOS, and you have to do it, you know, for the upcoming NVIDIA card. Well, sorry, that's how our world works. I can't tell you how many times 24 hours before a launch somebody sends me a new driver and says this changes everything. Sorry, we tried to get it out to you sooner. That's part of the game, and it sucks. But there's no need to write these ranting editorials about it. So, and I guess there's no need for me to continue on my ranting editorial.
They just want.
But he ruined my weekend. AMD as a whole, they're out to get me.
They just want page views. That's all it is. It's just for, you know.
What pisses me off more, and I know that this happens, and this happens not just in this industry, is that somebody on NVIDIA called all these people and said, hey, doesn't this suck? Aren't consumers getting screwed here? And most people said, I don't really think so. Thanks for calling, though. And a couple people said, yeah, you're right, man. Yeah. And they start poking them in the chest. They're like, you're right, man. They are screwing me over. And they write this big editorial about it, and it gets promoted in that way. And it's just, it's dumb. Hey, but anyway, 7950 3GB Boost Edition could be on sale this week. It might be on sale next week. It will still be $349. So if you were looking to buy 7950, wait until these show up. And if you're not sure, if you personally listening to this or watching this are not sure if the one you're going to buy has boost or not, email me and I will find out. Actually,
10,000 emails
I was going
later.
to say, actually, maybe that's not a good idea. Email Ken. He will do the research.
He's the intern.
Yeah. So let's talk about another graphics card because that's all we ever do. Josh, you reviewed one. We just posted it up a little bit ago, I guess.
Yes, tonight on GPU Perspective, we are talking about video cards.
Lots of them. Oh,
yes.
Nice. I like
All
that.
right, this is the MSI GeForce GTX 670 Power Edition. As you can see, unlike other GTX 670s that you can attest to, it's a full-size PCB as compared to, say, one of those numbers that like cuts off this last big part and messes things around. Anyway, the Power Edition is it's a new concept for MSI. I believe they first introduced some of their Power Editions here this past spring. And what it is essentially a small but meaningful jump from a reference design up not quite to Lightning design. So it hits kind of a middle point in between in terms of features that they have, quality of construction, the size of the heat sink. As you can see, this is more like an actual reference GTX 670 than, say, the Lightning series, or for that matter, MSI had released a 7970 Power Edition that was based pretty much all on the Lightning PCB as well. But they did improve this product a little bit from the previous reference designs in that it can handle about 125 amps of power versus approximately 100 amps for the reference design. So not only that, but it's overclocked. I think that what the standard is 950 megahertz with the boost up to 106 or 1006, and this is got a stock clock of I believe it is 1006, and it has a boost all the way up to 1078. So yeah, it's nicely overclocked out of the box. It always runs at boost essentially. And what is interesting about this card is, according to the software I had, its boost was actually running at 1179. And that was without touching any of the afterburner settings, without hitting the plus. So it seems like MSI is giving their users a little bit more of a bump than they were expecting. Now, this is a 2 gig card. It's still based on GK 104. It's got, 1344 shaders?
Correct.
Yeah. You're so good at numbers, Ryan.
Let's say I've been spending a lot of my day writing about GK 104. Ask me all the specs you want. I can tell you that it was actually 915 was the reference clock, and 980 was the reference boost clock.
Boost. Nice. So this is a pretty significant jump up in terms of base clock and boost. It's still got 2 gigs of memory. So those who, are gaming up to 1080p or 1920 by 1200, they're getting a good card. Those who are jumping up to 2560 and surround, you might want to look around and see what the games you play are performing at those resolutions with this card, because a little extra frame buffer in those applications and apps like Metro 2033, even at 1920, it's going to make a difference. It is running on a 256-bit bus. It's a 1500 megahertz memory that has an effective clock of 6 gigahertz, so it's the full spec that we see on the GTX 670 and the GTX 680, and you can easily overclock this monster. Now, one of the biggest features they have, other than just the pretty heatsink and dual 80 millimeter fans.
Spin them. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I'll stop that. It comes with Afterburner. The Afterburner 2.3 version allows you to actually adjust the voltage on the GPU. Now, as you well know, NVIDIA really frowns upon upping the voltage. Now, you can increase the power limit of that. So, for instance, this is officially a 170 watt TDP card, but MSI specs this out that it can be run at 200 watts TDP. Now, how you do that is you go into Afterburner or whatever, and you take up the power limit up to the max. I think 114% is what was for this one, and you can then raise the base clock, and it'll raise the base clock as well as the boost. And I was able to get this up to 1250 megahertz at boost, running at constant boost, at that speed. But anything above that, it would lock up. Now I was able to actually add another zero point 0.2 volts to this, and I can get it up to 1275. It's not a huge boost, but it's still a somewhat significant one. And if you're really, really pushing your card to its limit, this is what you're going to have to do. Now the cooling on this was exceptional. It never got loud. I don't think the fans ever got above 50%. I believe that even at load and overclocked, it didn't break 70C. Which is really, really, really good. And I mean, GK104 isn't a really hot chip, but when you're overclocking that much, you're still going to generate heat. So MSI did a very, very nice job on this card.
Are there
it
any
retails for what?
I was going to say, are there any particular benchmark pages you want me to show while you're talking here or anything?
The one that's most showing is Dirt Showdown, because that one, AMD just walked all over this NVIDIA card. Like by double. Now, Dirt Showdown is a new product, and that bottom one is the lines for the 670. But they, it is an AMD title, and so they probably haven't had as much time to work on that as much.
That is correct.
But everything else, this is as fast, if not faster, than a HD 7950. And the HD 7950 I compared it against was a slightly overclocked MSI version that was running at 880 megahertz. So again, it's a little higher than those boosted 850 megahertz versions you were talking about. But again, this is a $404 card after rebate. If you don't want to do a mail-in rebate, well, you got to add $25 to that, so it's $429. And you have to look through the benchmarks and really ask yourself, is that extra $60 to $100 really worth it for that extra performance? And that's going to be something you're going to have to decide for yourself, because you can still overclock this, you can still get a higher boost number. A lot of people like NVIDIA drivers versus what AMD provides, and there's some good reasons for that. But boy, it's right now in between $300 and $500 is even though it's $200. It's kind of a very compressed area for graphics cards, because that's where these graphics card guys are actually, making some money as compared to the sub $200 market, where, the margins aren't nearly as fun. And so we've got stuff that starts at 250 with the 7870s, good card. We're going to have something tomorrow that's at the 300 level. These are, $330 to $350. Well, not these, but the HD 7950s.
Right.
GTX 470s and the 7970s are at 400, and then you've got all the specialty and overclock stuff above that. And it's so easy to look at these things. It's like, hey, I can get this for $250. Well, for $10 more, I can get this. Oh, geez, look at that. That's $15 more. I get more stuff, a little bit more memory, and you just will not stop until you hit the $500 level, and you're banging your head against the wall and thinking, why do I need 6 gigs of 7970 or whatever. Anything above that, though, gets kind of crazy. I just can't think of doing that. But anyhow, this is, it's a good card. It's my first GTX 600 series.
Aww.
It ran very, very well. I was impressed by how easily it overclocked, and the tools that we've been given, not just by EVGA, which you have shown, but the MSI Afterburner stuff. So, it was a very, very pleasant experience. And I do recommend this card. It got a silver award. It's very well built, runs exactly as it's supposed to, and other than a few, slight hiccups, it did what it was supposed to. It was a very good product.
Now, somebody in the chat room wanted to know if it would play Unreal Tournament 2004.
Barely. That's kind of scraping the upper limits of this card.
Okay.
It may run at 1,000 frames per second, and you won't see what's actually going on the screen.
Okay. Well, here, if you're having trouble running UT2004 on your MSI GTX 670, the last video card we're going to talk about today is this GTX 670. I'm sorry, I think I said 640 before. I meant 670 for the MSI card. Now this one, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because Josh talked about the GPU quite a bit. This is another 670. What's interesting about this is this is overclocked, and it also has 4 gigs of frame buffer. So this is it's meant for a very specific type of user. If you're playing 1080p, don't buy this card. There are cheaper options, maybe even Josh's option that you can get that will benefit you. You don't need to pay for the extra memory if you're not going to take advantage of it. If you're doing 2560 by 1440 or 2560 by 1600, and especially if you're doing maybe the NVIDIA Surround 3 displays, maybe you're doing 5760 by 1080, or maybe you're doing triple the 2560 panels, God bless you, then this is a card that might stand up for you. If we switch over to the review here real quick, Ken, you'll see that it looks like any other 670. You'll see here where the blue GTX 600 logo is. It actually pulses a blue light underneath there. It's actually kind of cool looking. If you're into that kind of thing. Still got the same connection types, 2 DVI, an HDMI, and a DisplayPort. And I do want to say, while I'm looking at this picture, I prefer this connection type better than what AMD has done. You'll notice AMD will have a single DVI, an HDMI, and 2 mini DisplayPorts. And while that works just fine, the ability to have 2 monitors hooked up to DVI and 1 through HDMI without having to get a DisplayPort adapter involved is really a benefit in terms of getting your surround configuration going. If you want that 4th display, you're still going to have to deal with the DisplayPort connection, but without it, it won't be an issue. So if we keep scrolling down here, let's see. It runs very similarly to Josh's. It runs at 1006 megahertz, which the reason they're picking this clock speed, by the way, is that is the GTX 680 clock speed. So memory still runs at 6 gigahertz and boost clock of 1085. What you'll see here is the price of the 670 was $469. I think there was a coupon with it. No, oh, well, okay. That's pretty good. It's actually down to $439, and you can get it for $419.99 with a $20 rebate. So you can get this 4 gigabyte overclocked GTX 670 for $419. That's actually a pretty good price.
Well, for $15 more, you get 2 extra gigs of memory than this one. And you wonder why I only gave this as silver.
I did. Actually, I didn't because I knew. For this review, I only tested 2560 and 5760 because I figured, again, if you're doing 1080p, and if you plan on keeping 1080p, you probably don't want to do this. It turned out pretty well. It came very close to being able to perform as high as the GTX 680, even though it has 1 less SMX unit. It has a little bit has 192 fewer CUDA cores in it, but it does have twice the memory, which is nice. So you can see this one got a gold award. It's shiny.
Shiny.
Shiny. Okay, and the last review we're going to talk about, we're not really going to talk about it, I just wanted to mention it. Matt Smith wrote a review of the Samsung Series 5 550 Chromebook. If you remember the Chromebooks, these are the laptops that run Chrome. Is it Chromium? Chrome OS? Chrome OS. They made a comeback. He reviewed the first one and didn't like it very much. This one actually turned out pretty good. It's based on an Intel Celeron processor. Remember those guys? 4 gigs of memory, 16 gig hard drive, but obviously the point of it is most of your stuff lives in the cloud anyway. Build quality was pretty good, and I want to say this one got a good award from him as well. Look at that. Boom. That's pretty impressive.
Wow, we just give out awards.
We do.
Editor's choice. Wow.
Left and right.
Editor's choice.
You know what I've noticed?
What's that?
Manufacturers usually don't send you crappy products to
That's
review.
true. They're smarter than that. They're smarter than that. They're like, why am I going to send this piece of crap? Now, to be fair, Matt, when he first reviewed the first Chromebook, hated it and told you so. And this one has been updated, and it's not only the hardware that changes, but also the software and the operating system that's changed. So that's good news. It's time to take a break real quick. We will thank today's podcast sponsor. We'll come back, talk about some news items as quickly-ish as we can, and get the hell on out of here. And we still don't have a video version of our ad, so we'll add that in and post later, guys.
Speaking about bad products,
yes.
something for fun if you want to do Look up reviews for the Rocco 5.1 surround speakers from Jazz Multimedia. They sent everybody one of these things, and it's this 5.1 set. Never in my life have I seen so much negative black. I mean, people wanted to write about this because it was so incredibly bad. And so I talked to the PR person, and they're like, yeah, corporate Taiwan wanted us to do that. They just don't get very good reviews. And that was all she ever said. I thought it was... So Rocco 5.1, look it up. Some good humor.
My best crappy crappy products sent in was, I guess it's been several years now. Genius is a company that exists. It's a Korean company. They make a lot of different stuff. Right, and this guy sent me this email. I was like, hey, I want to send you some things to review. And I was like, fine, whatever. Send it in. I always reply with the same thing. You can send it in. I can't guarantee I'm going to review it. It all depends on if we like it, if it's interesting, and if we have time. And he said, yeah, that's fine. So he sent in some stuff. But he sent in 3 of everything. And when I say everything, like my basement has cases of crap still in it. And I'm talking like PlayStation 2 steering wheels.
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Like portable AAA powered speaker sets. We're using some of them, like 2.1 channel speaker sets that we use as our monitor when we're using stuff in here. What else do we have? Like just the crappiest mice you've ever saw. They gave me.
Is it a 3-button mouse?
You know those notepads that you have that have like the pen with the battery in it that kind of it sees what you're writing, right, and it kind of creates the notes for you digitally on an SD card. They sent me 3 of those. They sent all this stuff, and almost none of it having anything to do with PC hardware. And I just kind of was like, well, that guy's dumb. And I remember getting an email like 6 months later, and he was like, hey, are you going to review any of this stuff? Because my boss is really mad at me, and I'm going to get fired. And I replied back and said, look, if you give me like a shipper number, I will send all of it back to you, but we're not going to test any of this. And I never heard from him again. So I hope he's
because he was fired on the spot.
I hope it was only that he was fired.
Burst into flames after reading your email and was sent directly to hell.
I hope it was only that he was fired, nothing else. So here's an interesting rumor. Microsoft Surface, that's a thing. It looks cool. Tablet, Windows RT based, or Win RT based, and Windows 8 full desktop version. One Intel based, one ARM based. Specifically NVIDIA Tegra 3 based. So there's a rumor that Microsoft Surface is only going to be $200.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
And we're talking about the ARM version, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Only
We're
the
talking
ARM
about the empty box version.
that's crazy.
The empty box
isn't
to
it?
the brick version.
Yeah.
So the what you return to Walmart version.
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay.
And the brick was even inscribed, this side intentionally left blank.
Oh man! So the rumor came out of the Register. It's very different, lots of different places that the ARM-powered Surface will be selling for $200 and will be less than half the price analysts predicted it would be. Now, this is supposed to be out in what, October or something like that? September, October, November.
Are they subsidizing it? What?
Well, there's no carriers, like there's no 3G or 4G. There's no cell
I just
carrier.
mean like paying, just dumping money into it, just to make it cheaper, selling it at a loss.
So they could do that. Intel has been known to do those kinds of things, right? They got in trouble for it, but they've been known to do those types of things. And Microsoft has the money to do it. But imagine how pissed everybody else that they work with would be.
Yeah.
I mean, the operating system itself is supposed to cost $80.
But it's free for them.
Right? Oh, it's free for them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if they're
Microsoft.
here's the problem that Microsoft has versus Apple, and it's this very specific thing. Microsoft might have the desire to sell this for $200. They might have the financial capability to sell this for $200. And if they sell it for $200, everybody's going to want one. Everybody would buy one. Ken said he'd buy one, maybe 3.
I'd buy one.
I would
buy a
buy
couple.
one. Yeah, exactly. And
$200, yeah.
At $200, it's almost like impulse purchase, right? Yep. We're talking about the same price of a cell phone that you didn't have to sign a 3-year contract for.
I would
right?
buy it just to put it on that bookshelf thing behind me.
I agree. It's a cool thing. But because Microsoft has these partnerships and because Microsoft has all these other companies that they can't piss off, I don't see this happening. Because if we go to our next story about the Lenovo rumors, oops, wrong one, here we go. If we go to the Lenovo rumors of, not rumors, but their Windows 8 Pro, Windows 8 RT tablets, guess who's not going to sell their tablets for $200? Lenovo. So, or everybody else, right? So if you're Lenovo, if you're Toshiba, if you're Asus, if you're whoever, and you have to sell yours for $400 or $500 in order to make a profit, and they're undercutting you by $300, you're not going to make this product anymore. You're just not going to do it. Why throw your money away? And Apple has the capability to do that because they make the hardware and the software. If they wanted to, trust me, they've never sold anything at a loss. But if they wanted to, they had that capability to do so. So if Microsoft wanted to flood the market with cheap WinRT devices to try to get this acceptance and adoption at a super high level, they really, God, they would be stupid for doing it. Awesome, but stupid, right? It's like they would basically be sacrificing all of their partnerships and that kind of stuff going forward. So I don't know. These Lenovo laptops look nice, kind of what you would expect. Tablets. Let's see, they call it Surface. Thinkpad 2 will be running Windows Pro, x86 processor, and the RT version will obviously run a Tegra 3 SoC. I say obviously, but I guess it's not obvious that it's running Tegra 3. But yeah, so far pretty good stuff. The full version is powered by an Atom processor, which I thought that wasn't the case. I thought we were we're talking about the Surface one specifically was going to be Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge based. It looks like Lenovo decided to go with an Atom, which can only mean great things as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, there you go. Anybody have any thoughts on Corsair acquiring Raptor Gaming? Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on this? Did you ever use any Raptor peripherals?
Well, no, it's UK based, so they sell through Europe. So we never, well, at least we, the North Americans watching, have never really seen anything from these guys. But on the other hand, it looks kind of interesting because some of the patents that Raptor Gaming at least claims to hold could actually make it a lot easier or a lot cheaper for Corsair to put out the products that they've got now because they're not paying licensing fees, and it means that Corsair is now going to be a global peripheral company. Right now, they've just been selling peripherals in Canada, in the U.S., possibly in Mexico. Very little outside. I mean, memory, yeah, they're global. But
Sure.
The peripheral business and the case business, not so much. So, hey, they're expanding. This is probably a good thing. And now when you're talking about Corsair mice and gaming keyboards, people across the pond are actually going to know what you're talking about.
Do we think they're going to integrate any of, like, does Raptor have any, do we know of any technology or cool products that Raptor has that Corsair might adopt or take, or are they really kind of like just going after the sales channels, the marketing deals, you know, that kind of thing?
Well, I would assume that it's more the marketing channels that they're looking for, but one of the things that a lot of the Raptor Gaming mice had when I looked at it is the adjustability. So we just recently seen mice come out here where you can actually change the shape of it, raise it, lower it, make it wider, and I guess that they've been doing it for quite a while. So this is actually kind of nice. They've also got some nice cable management tricks that we haven't really been seeing over here that people are probably going to like, and they also got a lot of controllers. So, you know, PS2 wheels, if you need another one, Ryan.
No, but if you want to come to
Sure?
my basement and have some, it's funny. Every time my wife goes in the basement, she always comes up very angry with me. And I always say, oh, I'm going to give it away on the podcast or something like that. But then I have to, like, carry it out of the basement and ship it. And who wants a PlayStation 2 steering wheel anymore, really? Josh, you want a PlayStation 2 steering wheel?
What's a PlayStation 2?
It's a
Yeah,
thing.
they still make those?
I don't think
I
they
still got an
do.
Xbox, original one. They have an Xbox wheel.
I bet I do. If I do, I'm sending it to you tomorrow. Surprise!
Oh, my brother's got an NES, but they didn't support wheels.
No. Josh, do you know anything about the NVIDIA Q2 fiscal reports? Or anything
little
interesting, at
bit.
least?
Apparently, they made about $1.04 billion in revenue. And they had a decent amount of actual
That's more than us.
profit from that. I don't have that correct number, but you know what? Let me take a quick look. Essentially, Q2 was a surprise for NVIDIA. And analysts were not expecting them to do all that well. But graphics turned out to be a little bit better than expected. GK104 obviously was a very positive product for them in Q2. And probably the thing that really pushed them over the edge and being, much more profitable was that of Tegra 3. Now, Tegra 3 has been struggling a bit in getting wins. I mean, it has some, but it hasn't been shipping in great amount of numbers until two things happen, namely the Nexus 7 from Google, which has just been selling out left and right, and Google ordered millions of these chips from NVIDIA. And the other is the Surface that we were previously talking about. That's gathered a lot of steam for the company. So these two things have been a big positive for NVIDIA, and even though they're spending a lot of money in research, trying to break further into the cell phone and kind of portables market with their Tegra products, they're finally gaining some traction. And I think Google was really the biggest reason that they have gotten as much kind of lip service and actual buys, because you have a Nexus 7, don't you?
I do.
And
I
what
like
do you think of that?
I like it a lot. The only thing that I wish it had was 3G or 4G connectivity. I'm glad it doesn't, kind of on one hand, because I don't want another bill. But it's one of the things that with my iPad I have the 4G AT&T version, and it's super convenient to be able to be anywhere and not worry about having to find a Wi-Fi connection to get data. But in terms of the device itself, it has replaced, like, I don't use my iPad for nearly as many things anymore. I don't use my Kindle Fire anymore, and it has replaced my, like, carry around the house access device. Right? I don't really even need to have my phone with me necessarily. So
go sit down, watch some TV.
I do.
And some commercial gets your attention. You pull out the Nexus 7.
Pull out the Nexus 7, right?
Yes.
Pull it out. Start.
Is
touching
that what
it.
you're calling it now?
I start to touch it, swipe a little.
Your wife looks embarrassed.
She can't really see what's going on because she's sitting behind the couch. She just, sees the hands moving and stuff. It's my Nexus 7. I hold it up and wave it, and she's
like, oh, yes,
yeah.
yes.
Because all the windows are open for the neighbors.
But anyway, they made like 119 million, which is really good for NVIDIA. I mean, they've been struggling for the past couple of years. Their products have, ever since Fermi was released, they've had manufacturing issues, being able to sell them, negative backlash for power and heat.
Right.
And certainly with GK104, they haven't had that. They're shoehorning that shoehorning.
Woohoo! Woo, man.
That
we leave the Twit Network, and this show just gets raunchy.
Yes.
Woo.
Into every imaginable possible crevice.
There you go. See, now I expected it. It's not funny anymore.
You're painting a bad picture, Josh.
It's not. Done. But anyway, they had a good quarter. So, a lot of positive things going for NVIDIA, and they're actually getting traction in the mobile, which is where they really want to be, because while they develop these big GPUs and they make some money off of them, they think the future really is going to be with these CPUs, not just in mobile devices, but eventually up to higher performing products that will eventually make their way into desktop PCs and notebooks.
All right.
So we're not going to talk about the death of NVIDIA anymore for a little while.
For at least a couple of weeks.
Somebody, don't worry, some angry idiot will have an editorial up tomorrow anyway. A couple of quick random videos. Actually, I guess I should have loaded these beforehand. We already talked about the PC Perspective Workshop. I didn't know we had talked about it last week. But this is a cool video that I don't think we showed on this podcast. This is a demo of the Crytek engine, Crytek 3 engine. And they say all of it...
No featuring toad licking.
This is completely rendered in real time stuff, I guess, and it's hard to really get this over a stream. I would encourage you guys to go to our site and look up the video, or go to YouTube and look up the video and play the 1080p version back with the sound and everything, because it's really impressive stuff. I hope they do some other cool demonstrations. What is the show going on now? Gamescom?
Yeah, it starts tomorrow in Germany.
Yeah, in Germany, and I hope we get some really cool stuff out of there. I saw the rumors about Half-Life 3 being on the floor.
That can't be possible.
I can't wait for them to spit in our face with that too. But I mean, it's a really cool video, really cool tech. You guys should check that out. Also, you want you need to waste 2 hours in one sitting and then like 4 hours in another sitting, have I got the video for you guys. Twice last week, we did PC Perspective LAN Party Unreal Tournament 2004. So if you've ever been like, man, I've got a real itch to play some UT 2004, don't worry, guys, we got you covered. Just here you go, watch. Let's just take a look. We don't have audio, so it's a little bit less exciting. But here I am. Oh nope, that guy's on my team.
You don't hear me screaming like a little girl?
Yeah, you did complain a lot during this, by the way.
Yeah.
You did kind of whine. Oh, look, there's Scott. Shoot him. Oh, look there. Oh,
There
look.
hurt me
Oh,
so bad.
look.
Oh, you killed Josh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a common theme of the week.
You bastard.
So there's a 2-hour video, and then we have a 4-hour video of us playing UT 2004. And I really don't encourage everybody to watch it all, but if you want to leave it play and listen to our witty banter back and forth, I've actually done that a couple of times just to see if it plays all the way through. I wanted to see if it just cuts off halfway, like YouTube pops up a message just like, really? You sure? You want to keep listening to this? But it was fun. I don't know if we'll be able to do one tonight. We've been trying to do these kind of like LAN party get-togethers. There was discussion about playing TF2 tonight. We'll see what time we get finished here and if we have anything else we need to do to set up. So that's another thing. If you're listening to this and you download it, you're not on the live stream, check in, come onto the stream at pcpro.com/live on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, and see if we play a game afterwards. Usually, I like to try to prepare people and say, hey, we're going to play this game at this time. Here's the server and all that kind of deal. We really haven't done that tonight. So if we do decide to do it, it will be a very last-minute thing tonight. But keep an eye out for that. It's something fun we're doing. We're testing, keeping our stretching the legs out on our streaming capability here as well. So speaking of that, make sure you are here tomorrow. Well, this is only if you're on the live stream. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will have a special event with NVIDIA's Tom Peterson right here next to me. You can't see it because we don't have the camera angle, but right here next to me. And we're going to talk about a new graphics card release. Anybody on the show want to take a guess what it might be?
I have no idea.
A 691.
Oh, wait, it might be a 660 Ti.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next story. See what I was doing? Good setup, guys.
Segway. I used to call it Segu, but it doesn't matter.
660 Ti cards show up for sale at CompUSA. This is not the only place that they are on sale anymore. I don't think. I think it was a Best Buy. People were finding them on sale and stuff like that. $299 is what they were coming up as. Look, we've talked about the specs, the rumored specs, for a while, and the rumored pricing seems to be pretty evident at this point. Plus, you'll see right here, if we go back to the stream, or go back to my screen for a second here. If we go back here, there we go. Upcoming events. You see this? 8/16, 1 p.m. EDT, NVIDIA Desktop GPU live review. And it happens to be right next to that story about GTX 660 Ti. So it's going to come out tomorrow, guys. What sucks is we record the podcast before the launch. It seems to happen pretty frequently with NVIDIA's card releases. They like Thursday mornings. So we will talk about that on the podcast next week. Josh, did you want to talk about the Samsung Exynos at all?
Love to.
Just short, though. We want to keep it
Yeah,
short.
okay. The Samsung Exynos is their Cortex A15 base processor. I think it's a 32 nanometer part. Don't exactly quote me on that, but still, it's a big step up in terms of process technology as compared to what they currently have, except for the Exynos 5 quad core. Heck, I can't remember anymore. But anyway, it's an A15. It's got the new Mali T604 graphics portion, so it actually supports up to DirectX 11 type functionality. It's going to be running like a striped ass ape. It's a I don't know if it's going to be 1.5 gigahertz or above. I'm guessing above because A15 is a little bit more tuned towards
1.7
speed.
Ken says 1.7.
1.7.
1.7.
Actually, he
yeah.
did this. It's 1 point this many, and I
That
translated.
many?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Samsung Galaxy S3 is one of the few Samsung phones that do not use their own silicon because Qualcomm was able to come out with their Crate, which is a Cortex A9 Plus, which is kind of closer to A15 than A9, but still not quite there. But it runs a 1.5 gigahertz, 28 nanometer product from TSMC. Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point where we just have pervasively good performing products in the mobile space. I mean, if we look at ARM products over the past 3 years that we have seen integrated into smartphones, if you take something that's 3 years old compared to now, it's night and day.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
You know, running basic Android 2.3 as compared to ICS with these monsters. You know, this is why I jumped in when I did, because we were finally at the point where the software's good enough, the hardware's good enough that it's not going to frustrate me, and we don't like that.
Nobody likes a frustrated
You
child.
can look at my office and see where my frustration has got me in the past.
Bald.
That too.
All right.
But hey, I got a lot of testosterone to waste. A lot of it.
Awkward. And real quick, because we haven't heard from Allyn yet, there was he's going to write up a post about it soon. We don't have it ready yet. A little update on Intel RST and Windows 8 compatibility, and is it trim related?
Yes, of course. RST 11.0 and up. 11.2 is the current one that's out for public download. That came out a couple months back. Intel just released a statement. They said, okay, listen, you have trim and RAID 0 only support under Windows 7. However, it's not supported under Windows 8. We're not sure if that means that they just don't guarantee it to work properly, or it doesn't work, or yeah, we're not sure. But it's, you know, it is what it is. That's really all the statement was focused around, really, was the Windows 8 part of it, which is a little bit moot for at least the next couple of weeks until Windows 8 is available in some way, shape, or form, right?
Well, I guess it's kind of available today. Is that right? Like it kind of went to RTM today. So if you have a TechNet subscription or an MSDN subscription, you can download it and start installing it. Now I've seen some articles go up on that kind of stuff. So yeah, very soon. I still have zero desire to install it. I don't know why, and that's bad of me because I'm supposed to be ahead of that curve.
Because you use 30-inch screens and you don't want your entire screen to turn into a wall of like square Skittles when you when you hit start.
Tendai Dongo on Twitter sent me a video. I'm not going to play it for you, but of like some people snuck installing Windows 8 on their system administrator system, and like they videoed like him using it for the first time. He's like, "What is this crap? Where do you get to the real computer?" And he's like looking under the desk. "What did you guys do with my PC?" And they're like, "No, it's Windows 8." And he's very surprised by that. Yeah, so look forward to that stuff. So that rounds up the news, good and bad, for the week. Let's get into our hardware software picks. So here is mine. It is actually a device I'm using right now to display this image to your screens if you're watching the video version. This is, and it's out of stock. But it's the Diamond VStream wireless PC to TV USB to HDMI interface. So you got a little USB dongle there on the right that you plug into a laptop or your computer or whatever, and then this device on this side has an HDMI port, plugs into your TV. In our case, we're plugging into an HDMI capture card. And then between these two devices, invisible wireless signals go back and forth. Actually, probably just one direction to transmit the images in the screen over. So great for if you have a laptop, you want to connect your TV, you don't want to run wires. It's not the best image quality. I think it says it supports 1080p, but I mean it's using a 2.4 gigahertz connection. There's going to be, it's not going to be, you know, a bit for bit perfect thing there would be my guess. But for our purposes, it works pretty well. It looks pretty good. You can see, like, I don't know if you can see this on the stream, but if I scroll quickly, there's a little bit of you know, kind of delay there, and it happens both locally as well as over the stream. So, but I don't know why. Honestly, I think Diamond sent it to me. I guess that makes me a bad person. But here I am. I'm talking about it. It's my pick of the week. If you can find it in stock and it's not $95, I would recommend it. Actually, here it is on Amazon for $80. Only 4 left in stock. So it's a pretty good option for that if you don't have any kind of the wireless technology built in. Jeremy?
Well, over the years, we've talked about near-field communications, usually in regards to cell phones, but essentially the idea is that it goes beyond the QR codes and into a little piece of electronics which can sit on a point-of-sale device or anywhere, and just simply the radio signals coming from your cell phone are enough to power it so that it can then send something back. So it's what Google Wallet is based off of. PayPass is one of MasterCards, and Visa uses PayWave. So essentially, without ever taking your cell phone out of your pocket, you are able to pay for something. Now, for some people, this seems like a good idea. For me, I think, well, I'm just going to start charging you for walking by me. But the nice thing is that we're actually going to see a lot more of it now, because a story out of Nanotech Web is saying that they can print out the transistor for about the cost of a penny. So you're going to be seeing near-field communications everywhere. And, for people who like doing, the idea that your wallet is also your cell phone and, dump cash, dump everything. It's just, I've got a phone number and that's my identity. Well, you're going to be able to use that a lot more in the near future because it's dirt cheap now.
I'm excited about that. Now, Ken told me that Google Wallet, which is the service that uses NFC on this phone, will let you add any credit card now to it. Before, it was one specific credit card that it would work with. So I'm excited to go try it out. Every time we tried it so far, like the cashier's like, dude, I see a 20 in your wallet. Just give me the money. I was like, oh, not very cool. Great from borrowing soft drinks from vending machines in Las Vegas, too. Josh, are you next? Josh, you are on mute.
I'm just going to talk about an SSD
Ken,
again.
do you have Josh on mute?
Probably.
Hang on. We're going to fix you. How about now?
Anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Josh.
Way to mute me out there, hoser.
Yeah.
I said some really funny things, and you didn't hear it.
Lies.
Okay. Anyway.
What's your pick?
OCZ has a Vertex 4 512 gig hard drive for what, $360?
Vertex
That's
4?
pretty good.
$379.
Agility 4.
No, it's the Agility 4.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
Agility.
got the SandForce. I would be much more happy with SandForce than.
Well,
Wait,
the Vertex
No.
uses SandForce too.
Agility 4 is the same
Oh no,
thing.
Agility 4 is Vertex. I mean,
It is the Vertex 4. It is also the Marvell with the OCZ firmware. It's the
Anyway.
same deal.
It's 74 cents per gig.
It's
Yeah.
just asynchronous RAM or
And
asynchronous flash.
That's a lot. 512 gigs is getting close to the point where, like on our GPU test beds, we use 600 gig Velociraptors because we have a lot of games installed all the time. And this is pretty close to being able to replace those, which I would love to do. But damn, limit 5 per customer. I guess I'll have to.
Aw.
well, why don't you just call your friend Jennifer?
Yeah,
OCZ?
Jessica.
Jessica. Whisper sweet nothings in her ear. Get a 10-pack.
Send me 5 SSDs for free. For free.
Alan, say nice things.
It'll be totally worth it.
No, say so on the podcast.
Ah.
Alan, what do you got for us?
All right, so I just upgraded my TV a few months back, and I had a home theater PC, and I had a Bose soundbar on it,
Yep.
and I had 3 different remotes sitting on my stinking coffee table.
Sucks.
And it was literally like a game of musical chairs. Every time I went to fire everything up, I was like, all right, a power here and a power RK and then this and that. Yeah, it was really, really stinking annoying, right? And none of those was a keyboard, right? So trying to operate a home theater PC when you got to type something in, I'm sitting there using arrow keys on a HP PC remote.
Yeah, that sucks.
Also kind of sucks.
It's
Okay.
like Xbox.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I did a bunch of digging around, and I found this really cheap, and by cheap I mean like $20-something, I think, thing called an iPazzPort 2.4 gigahertz mini wireless fly.
Hey, that looks just like an iPhone.
It sort of does. Yes, it has except it's much lighter. It's a little bit longer than an iPhone.
If you pull up this
kind of-
picture on Amazon, Ken, if we look at this picture on this, it looks
Yeah.
like from the side, it looks
yeah.
exactly like an iPhone.
Yeah, they totally did rip that up at all. So what's cool is one side, it has some buttons up, down, left, right, you know, and like some, what else is there? Like menu, AV, input, you know, that sort of thing. But it has two different modes, so you can hit one button or the other, and it does like TV or AV, and then the set of buttons map out to something else. So that side of the thing is a programmable IR remote. So that covers your audio stuff and your TV stuff, right? Then you flip it over to the other side, and it's a full keyboard.
Yep.
And not only is it a
That's
full
pretty
keyboard,
nifty.
but it has these two. You basically, when you're holding it, it has a button in the center and a left and a right mouse button. While you're holding the center button down, it's a it's a 3-axis gyro that's built into it.
Huh.
So you just hold the mouse button, hold the button down, and you just basically move it left, right, up, down, and you're moving your mouse cursor around. And you can either do it like if you tap that button, it locks it in so the mouse is constantly moving, or if you just hold it down, it'll only move while you have it held down. Pretty cool, and it lights up if you wanted to. It's got like a little backlight, and it's not much when you're in a lit room, but yeah, it's like orangey kind of backlight. But I mean, everything works. It comes with the dongle that plugs into the home theater PC, so that part of it's handled on its own channel. You don't have to mess around with Bluetooth or any kind of configuring, or you just plug that in and it comes like pre-synced up. And it has it comes with a very standard battery. I forget which kind it was, but it's basically like a Nokia phone battery, like a really, really common one. So down the line, if the battery does stop recharging, you're pretty much golden. It's like $5 battery on Amazon or something. And it charges by...
And you can throw the remote through a brick wall.
All right.
Yeah.
Made
And
with
it
Nokia parts.
charges by mini USB. So you just plug it into a mini USB and it just recharges.
So this I have something similar to that here.
That's the previous one.
Oh, okay. Here's why this one trumps you.
Uh-oh.
Laser pointer.
I don't need a laser pointer. I'm using it on my TV.
Lasers.
Well, I got a laser point at, like, what?
You
can blind
shine
yourself
it in the
more
eye.
effectively with
You
light.
shine it in the eyes of your kids and say, "Shut up! Shut up! I'm watching TV."
Stop your screaming.
I don't want to see TV again.
We'll see how well you scream when you're blind. Oh wait, damn it. Probably
Anyway.
more.
So yeah, pretty cool. It's pretty dang cheap. I think Amazon's got the lowest price for it. And has eliminated all of my
Cool.
remotes.
Let's see. We had Tim add in here the SkyDrive Web UI update that he likes for his pick, and Scott says FedEx tracking info sucks. I don't see how that's a pick for anything, but okay. Thanks, Scott.
I think his
But
samples
picky.
are delayed.
Okay. All right. I think he's waiting on a fun toy and he doesn't have it yet. Such is life. So that's going to be it for us this week, guys. That has been the PC Perspective podcast. Don't forget, sign up, subscribe to our show. Even if you watch it live, we'd really appreciate it if you go to pcper.com/podcast. That's where you can get all of our previous episodes. You can find our RSS feeds. That's where we embed the videos for each week as well. Please subscribe. Leave us your comments. Leave us your feedback. We want to know what you think about the new video setup, about the audio. We're doing audio a little bit differently. I know we had a little bit of levels issue last week. We're trying to fix and perfect for this week. And also, always, of course, find all the places you can obviously visit pcper.com. But you've got youtube.com/pcper if you want to watch all those amazing 4-hour Unreal Tournament videos, and you've got facebook.com/pcper. Find us there. We're gonna be running a Corsair contest for 16 gigs of memory there. I think later this week, maybe next week, from the Facebook page. Twitter.com/pcper. Josh is on Twitter now. Josh D Walrath. Is that right?
Yeah.
Josh D Walrath, as in the letter
G Walrus.
We're all wait a minute, Allyn, you're on it. You don't really update very much.
On what, the Twitter?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
Twitter.
it's at
Really,
Melvin
like 100 years old.
It's the
I'm
Twitter.
not on
get
the
off
Twitters.
the Twitter.
I'm Ryan at Ryan Shrout. Jeremy, what are you on Twitter?
What's a Twitter?
Uh-oh. At
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah,
Same.
my phone gets it, so I should probably sign up someday.
Oh, he's got a phone too.
You got a phone
Oh.
too?
Yeah, the work pawned it off on me. I got a Crackberry 9300.
Oh,
Okay.
they still... BlackBerry's not out of business yet?
They're trying real
Oh,
hard.
hey, IBM's looking at buying their server industry, which is actually kind of nice. And they're looking at hawking out their OS now as well. So,
BlackBerry 10. It'll change
you know,
everything.
they've
Oh,
come to the realization that they are on the way out. Just, as sysadmin, I'm don't want to see the BlackBerry Enterprise server die, because I
Boy,
can
that
nuke
would make
phones
your
when
life
idiots
hell.
lose them. Oh,
Can't imagine for the
well,
POP3 and the IMAP emails.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And they never have issues.
Keeps
I wouldn't
you
have to
keeps
them
you
at
with a
all.
job. I mean, you got to look at the upside, right? All right, that's gonna be it. Stick around for the after show. We may decide if we're gonna play a game or not. We'll figure it out. Thank you everybody for joining us again. If you want to find us and you want to be part of the live fun, whatever the
Live.
hell that is, pcpro.com/live. And thank you guys very much for joining us. I'm Brian Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm a non-smoking Josh Walrath.
And I'm also a non-smoking Alan Malventano.
Bye
Quitters.
guys. Bye.